Hello, and welcome back to Suzerain, the Kingdom of Rizia, and Ramus Taurus. In today's episode, well, it's time to visit with Sordland. It just feels odd, but, you know, it happens. My royal yacht, the Rizia, smoothly cleaved through the waters of the Zapana River Delta. I stood on the deck next to Ewald Alfonso, president of Sordland. After hours of diplomatic formalities of Palace Fresna, the sea breeze felt amazing. Alfonso removed his jacket and looked up admiringly at the wide cable bridge that connected Porte Drazan in two halves. What was my voice for Ewald Alfonso? Because he's, What a great day this boat tour was. It would have been pity to spend our entire visit trapped in a stuffy old palace. He rushed to correct himself. A beautiful, elegant old palace, Your Majesty. The ship's horn let out a blast as we passed beneath the bridge. I'll show Alfonso the new town. I directed the Swordish's president attention to the glass skyscrapers of the new town, where Riza's banks and major corporations were headquartered. See, this is what I like about your country. You're not afraid of the future. My grandmother was definitely thinking ahead when she made those trade deals with Sordland years ago. Liza the Great. It's not easy living the shadows of our predecessors. The colonel was no great fan of monarchies. As you'll recall, me, I'm more flexible. Countries with differing politics can still find common ground. Exactly. Guest manager emerged from the ship's cabin, clutching a bottle and grinning triumphantly. Elwold, they have it. I tried Katava exactly once, and Rizian's chef in Holsord who smuggled it over his streamer truck haven't stopped thinking about it ever since. He turned to me apologetically. Our mutual friend Rossello mentioned your yacht had an excellent wine cellar, and well, I couldn't help myself. A man of exquisite taste. I like you already. A toast to exquisite taste, then, butler? Baba smoothly appeared from behind us with 3 glasses. Gus handed him the bottle. Excellent choice, Mr. Manager. Please allow me. Sorry. Excellent choice, Mr. Manager. Please allow me. He filled the glasses and handed one to each other. This should taste of cherry and black pepper with a faint hint of leather. We raised our glasses. To new beginnings, and new prosperity, and new friends. We drank. Gus sighed with pure pleasure. Alfonso's expression bordered on disbelief. All apologies to Gilbert of Ribbery, but this is in fact the best wine I've ever tasted. I told you, I know certain Swordish movers and shakers who'd kill to have access to a beverage of this caliber, which brings me to that deal I suggested. Ah, yes, the free trade of Rizian wine for Swordish whiskey is a good way as any to get our relations flowing again, if you'll pardon the pun. Huh. That can't be the only reason you've traveled all this way. Called an aperitif. Alfonso opened his apache and pulled out a bottle of Elroy Maroon, 30 years old. Our turn to be connoisseurs, Your Majesty. Butler, 3 tumbles, no ice. Pabal approached with 3 glasses. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you two were trying to get me drunk. One does not merely get drunk on Elroy Maroon 30-year-old. One floats. Babal poured us each a small amount of amber-colored liquid. I'll do the toast this time. What do you people say? A parso? We drank. The flavor rushed over my tongue, wood smoke and forest moss, tampering off to a sweet, silky smooth finish. It's heavenly. Like tasting the very soul of Erlori itself. Since our treasury crone isn't here to put a damper on proceedings, should we get straight to it? Don't call Miss Werner a crone. She's one of my most capable counselors. Alfonso gave Gus a look of warning. I apologize on behalf of my minister. I told him to leave his baser impulses at home. I assure you, Sordland's making progress on the status of women. Some of my most trusted ministers belong to in the fairer sex. Alfonso reopened his briefcase and took out some paperwork. It's all boilerplate, really. The governments of Rizia and Sordland recognize the importance of promoting economic growth and cooperation and desire to enhance their mutual interests, conducted in a manner that is consistent with their respective domestic laws and regulations. Keep listening. The parties shall agree to cooperate in the development and implementation of sanitary measures. Keep listening. Elimination of tariffs to be completed within 6 months from the entry into force. I'm going to keep listening. I want to hear the whole thing. Ensuring that respective customs, procedures, and other trade-related measures are transparent, efficient, and predictable. Keep listening. In equal amounts, 100 tons of wines and 50 barrels of whiskey per year, subject to availability. Wait. Yes? Equal amounts? Demand for Rizian wine in Sordland is far higher than that of Sordish whiskey in Rizia. Good catch. We could change that section if you like. Quantities subject to market demand. Demand in Rizia will skyrocket once Irlori Maroon hits the market. Trust me. So is it a trade, Your Majesty? Definitely expect to see all the bars serving Sorda. Yes, sir. Definitely. Expect to see all our bars serving Sordish whiskey by next year. Excellent, Your Majesty. Another reason for me to return to this gem of a country. The yacht lingered at the mouth of the Zapana Delta, as the sun lowered in the sky, turning the water from turquoise to gold. As much as Sordland's most valued citizens would appreciate your wine, believe there's something else they'd find even more stunning. He gestured at his surroundings, then down at the short-sleeved shirt he was wearing. Have you thought about Riza's untapped tourism potential, Your Majesty? Yes, actually, that's why we're actually working on rebuilding some ancient stuff to help with tourism. Yes, many times. Our beaches put lesbians to shame, after all. They're true diamonds in the rough. I know that for a long time, international tourists stayed away from Veraquiz coast because of delicate situation with Pales. And that's still true. He pronounced the last word as Pales. It's Pele. Rhymes with ballet, or ballet. Palette. Okay. I don't even know how to I pronounced it that way. You know, I don't care. Screw off, game. I'm gonna pronounce how I want to. Oh, sorry. Never had the occasion to speak the name aloud. My point is that it might finally be time to bring your underdeveloped shores to life. I took the liberty of hiring a designer to draw this up. He reached inside his jacket pocket and pulled out a sheet of paper with a sketch on it. I recognized the beach it depicted. It was a picturesque sketch of a sand and marquise not far from the palace where I'd grown up. Right on the coastline, the designer had placed a sprawling complex with swimming pool and tennis courts. On it was a sign, Currenti Resort for Inquies. Would that be the senior or junior Currenti? You've done your research, I see. This is Marcel's initiative, along with certain other members of the Renthenberg group. Our partnerships are considering significant investment along the Varkese coast. If all went well, the Currenti Resort would only be the first step. Alfonso swirled the last drops of whiskey around his glass. I'm aware of how nobles see the Sordish oligarchs, and I'm also aware that their world-renowned riches have diminished with each successive generation. Change is not merely inevitable, Your Majesty. It's the only way to preserve the lifestyle to which you're all accustomed. Your grandmother understood that. Well said, Mr. President. My relatives could use a good shock to the system. So that's a yes on the proposal. Yes, as long as the final design is less gaudy. I'll pass that on to the partners. Alfonso rubbed his hands together. In less than an hour, we've accomplished more for our countries than our predecessors managed in 30 years. I'd say that calls for a celebration. Butler, another round? His name is Pablo Adria. Show some respect. I stand corrected, Mr. Adria, if you would be so kind. Pablo reappeared, another bottle in his hands. He shot me a grateful look as he filled our glasses. Gus, I don't think I like you as much as Elwald. I think Elwald's been a little bit of a better negotiator in this meeting. I think we work together better. But, you know, you're Gus, you're fine. The yacht began to turn back towards Port Hidrazan as the sun disappeared over the horizon. Woo! That went well. We got a postcard. Crowded sun-kissed beaches adorn this postcard. Heaven to some, although others may prefer a more private, secluded seaside retreat. It's a homage to Rizia's blossoming tourist industry sent with personal regards from Marcel Currenti. Nice. Alka Springs Leisure Club closed amid homosexual revelations. Interesting. Police in Montclair conducted a raid on the so-called health retreat, Elka Springs Leisure Club, following a tip-off that the bathing facility was in fact a gathering place for a local homosexual community. During their unscheduled visit, several same-sex couples were indeed found to be engaging in illegal activity. They were promptly arrested, and the leisure club shut down. Not getting into that. Azaros rebuked for conducting military exercise close to the Terrador border. The governor of Terrador has issued a stern rebuke to the Azaros of Cardis Montclair after their provincial military conducted exercises near the Pales Administrative District, labeling the drills as unnecessarily provocative. The governor called for restraint and dialogue to address any interprovincial tensions. The statement emphasizes the importance of peaceful coexistence and cooperation within the Kingdom of Rizia. Yes, that makes sense. Now, what's going on? We have Sordland HOS resort deal. The agreement with Swordish businessman Marcel Currenti is to develop a luxury resort in Veliquiz marks a notable economic venture. While it promises tourism and economic benefits, there's negative social impact on the locals. Trade deal with Sordland. The trade agreement between Rizia and Sordland aims to establish a framework for broad economic cooperation. It encompasses a range of collaborative initiatives designed to strengthen the economic bond between the two nations. Rizia signs pair of historic deals with Sordland. Sordland's first official diplomatic visit in Rizia over 30 years proved a smashing success. President Elwald Alfonso and his development minister Gus Manger flew back home as friends of the king, having cemented a pair of historic deals between the two countries. Freshly freed from the tyranny of Conan Sol, Sordland has been eager to restore the trade relationship it enjoyed with Rizia under the reign of King Egmont. A new free trade agreement will bring delicious Swordish whiskey to our shores, while making Cantuavo easier for grateful swords to access. Meanwhile, the province of Veliquiz can expect more Swordish visitors as a resort operated by businessman Marcel Currenti is slated for construction on the Marquise coast. We have non-interventionism gains momentum in Arcadia under Devereux. Charles Devereux of the Reformist Union Party is emerging as a potent force in Arcadian politics, challenging President Dwight Walker's vision of Arcadian capitalism, advocating for reduced military interventions, and favoring detente with United Cortana. Devereux's approach marks a stark departure from Walker's policies. His call for reapproachment signifies a potential shift in Arcadia's foreign policy, resonating with a segment of the populace dissatisfied with the current aggressive stance. This movement underscores growing divide in Arcadian politics as political thought, reflecting the nation's struggle to balance its superpower status with evolving global rivalry tension. Sordland and Rizia re-established ties. Sources have indicated a thaw in Rizia and Swordish relations, as a diplomatic visit to the kingdom by new Swordish president Elwald Alfonso was said to have ended in a deal being linked between the two nations. This marks a turning point both for Sordland, while maintaining few relations with his neighbors under the rule of Conan Sol, and for Rizia, which in recent years had been trading exclusively with Rumburg. How Queen Beatrice would react to her ally shaking hands with her kingdom's historic enemy remains to be seen. I'm sure it'll be fine. I honestly did not even think about it, but I'm sure that'll be fine. Monke's port reports ship log jam. Nearly 30 container ships were caught in a logjam by Port Montquiz yesterday, many of them transporting goods to Rumburg's Port Rim. Officials say this highlights the need to upgrade the facility for faster docking and processing. Conversation with Vina. Okay. Let's have the conversation then. It was low tide. The waves of the Antecedent Sea lapped at the sands below the cliffs. Whoop. That time I did not mean to click on the thing. A trail was carved into the cliffside, just wide enough for a single horse. Vina, the horse, obviously. You know, the comma there, and then period there, right? No, my daughter. Vina picked up speed as she guided her mare, Lizzie, around a sharp curve. I urged my own horse on. She balked at the steep drop, slowing us down. Vina glanced back at me with a grin. Meet you at the beach! I watched her fly down the trail. She'd thrown herself into a horseback riding after Lena died. We kept a few horses of the portagers on as well, but Lizzie was her favorite. I followed her at a leisurely pace, taking time to gaze back at the hill of Palace Monquiz, with Herbertus Taurus governing the province from his own estate. I was free to visit my old home and his private beach anytime I liked. At the bottom of the trail was a sheltered cove where Pebble had laid out the picnic. I dismount and saw Vina dead from falling off her horse. I mean, sat down next to Vina. I'm sorry. I just immediately thought it, because, you know, the beginning of this started dark. The wife died and all that. So it was like, you know, imagine if there's like, we should have told her to slow down. Vina's dead. That would be insane. I don't know. That's what I thought. I was like, this is going to happen. But my brain immediately thought, what if it did, though? You really didn't have to come back to Monquiz with me, Father. I'm grateful for the break. It's too hectic in Portagers on. I like the pace, but I can't let Lizzie think I've forgotten about her. She reached up and gave her horse a pat on the nose. It's beautiful here, isn't it? I can see why the swords had their eye on it. It's so beautiful it deserves to be shared. It's what Queen Liza would have done. Mother would be rolling her grave in the news, though. Remember how she always used to call them sordid instead of swordish? Yeah, that was a cheap shot. She picked up a lobster salad sandwich from the picnic basket and nibbled at it. The solemn silence descended as we started out at the waves. 8 years since she died. When I'm here, it might as well have been yesterday. Tell me about it. It hurts every time we come back here. But we keep doing it anyways. I can't even dip my toe in the water or it'll all come rushing back. I looked out at the sea again. Let yourself... the memories rushed over me. The break in the Coast Guard's voice as he told me the news, the hospital staff muttering meaningless reassurances, the beep of the ventilator as my wife slipped in and out of consciousness. If I had been on that boat, would things have been different? Another timeline? Were there 3 of us sitting on this beach instead of 2? I don't know. I've not watched a single playthrough of this or played through anything. I'm staying completely just this way through. I don't know, maybe not. That would be great. That would be insane though. If it actually was, if you went on the boat, you were just up, all 3 you were fine. That would be insane. That honestly, that better not be the case. If that better not be. Anyway, that would be insane. Okay, tears formed at the corners of my eyes. Actually, almost did start to get corners of my eyes, but from laughing. Probably a bit off. Pray. I muttered a prayer. My daughter didn't join me, but maintained a respectful silence. We've got to move forward. Lena wouldn't have wanted us to stay in mourning for so long. Maybe not, but I can't help it. She wiped her eyes. Are you thinking of moving forward, Father? 8 years and not so much as a date. It feels useless to try. I'll never love anyone else as much as I loved your mother. Vina looked unconvinced. But if you were to meet someone, what if you had a son? Who would be your successor when you died? I'd still declare you next in line. Rizia needs a queen like you, and the rules were meant to be broken. She smiled. Like Queen Liza said, the eldest sibling should inherit the throne no matter their sex. Thank you, Father. It means a lot to know my preparation won't be for nothing. Especially if I die before they're even adult. Like, if they're a kid, like, if I'm putting you in charge and not a 4-year-old son. I don't care if they're the son. I'm not putting a 4-year-old on the throne. Like, come on. You're an adult. It just makes more sense to put a well-educated, would be a good leader, more experienced monarch in charge than some little boy who probably doesn't have as good of knowledge of the world as you, you know? It just makes more sense. Pragmatism, people. Pragmatism. The tide was beginning to lap at the edge of our blanket. We stood up and pulled it away from the water. Father, one more thing. What? It's just... Grandmother's always on about how I need to find the right husband. How important is it to you, really, whom I marry? Why? Do you have any candidates in mind? No, but to you? Are you going to marry me off like your father did to you? I mean, not without your approval. But, I mean, if you approved of... Because, like, you know, it's a complicated situation. There's, like, if we could build relations with a foreign nation by marrying into their monarchy, that would be quite helpful. But I don't want to, you know... If you have a bad marriage and you end up not even having an heir, that would ruin everything. Like, we'd have to go back through dynasties. In fact, that might make our heir like someone from Rumburg. And that, who knows what that would do if we had to go up the branches to a Rumburg monarch. That would mess everything up. So we want to make sure you're in a marriage where you're gonna be happy enough to want to have kids and be able to continue the bloodline, or the monarchy would begin dying. So, like, it's complicated, you know? There's, I'm still considering all options. She fixed me with a stare. You and Mother were lucky to fall in love. Most such marriages are miserable. Relax, I might suggest a potential husband or two, but I'll never drag you to the altar. She looked relieved. I'm interested in hearing these suggestions. She hopped astride Lizzie. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing, you know. I might be like, well, if you wanted to marry this list of foreign monarchs or this list of important political figures, you know, I'd prove that more, but I won't stop you if you don't like any of them. That's, you know, yeah. Sorry to run, but one of the countesses from my school days has invited me for tea. She's just a few estates down the beach from here. Aw, have fun. I'm glad we were able to talk. So am I. She rode away. The trip back up to the palace felt a lot longer than the way down. It was dusk by the time I'd returned my horse to the stables. I staggered through the doorway of Pale's Monkiz, exhausted. Pabal swiftly took my coat. Welcome back, Your Majesty. Where's the princess? She's visiting with a friend, but she wanted to thank you for lunch. Monkiz lobster. It's never so sweet as when it's fresh out of the water. There's a warm bath waiting for you upstairs in case you're sore from the ride. I'm not sure at all, but a bath sounds good. Let me know if you need anything else. I made my way to Palace Monk's master bathroom, where an enormous clawfoot tub was filled to the brim with soapily scented water. I undressed and got in. Why are we going over which... Okay, I scrubbed my right arm. The temperature was perfect. A tap came at the door so soft I thought I was imagining it at first. Why does it matter which arm or leg I scrub first? What? I'm so confused. Your Majesty? Yes. May I come in? I forgot to leave you a towel. That's odd. Alright, come in. The door slowly opened and Pavel entered, a fluffy towel in his arms. He hung it on the hook of the wall. I noticed an identical towel on the hook next to it. Is there any other reason you wanted to come in? He took a step closer to the tub, cautiously keeping his eyes on the wall. Actually, there was something I wanted to bring up without any guards around. I am concerned. Why? Don't you trust the Golden Guards? I don't know whom I can trust, to be honest. There was a small... Ooh, okay, what's up? What's up? What's... Oh, this sounds... Okay. There was a small stool next to the tub. He moved over to it and sat with his back to me. Well, what did you want to tell me? Pavel spoke the next word slowly. Your Majesty, how much have you been told about your father's death? Oh God. Oh, whoa. Is there some secret stuff that I've not been told about? I mean, you were his butler at the time. You're my butler, but you were also his butler. What secret stuff do you know about? Not a lot. Do you suspect something? Well, this is what I know. You remember my father, the groundskeeper? When I was younger, he showed me every single plant in the gardens of Palace Rizia. One of them was Mandragora. Big green leaves, pretty purple flowers. He told me you can make an extract from its roots. A little bit helps you sleep. More than that causes delirium, and a lot stops your heart. Why didn't you ever tell me about this plant? I only spoke to you when I was spoken to, Your Majesty. I only spoke to you when I was spoken to, Your Majesty. The night His Majesty King Villaro died, I brought him to his evening cup of tea as usual. He seemed in his daze, as if he didn't even recognize me. A few days afterwards, I went out to the part of the garden where my father had planted the Mandragora. Nothing but a smooth patch of dirt. If it was poison, the coroner would have caught it. Mandragora is a naturally occurring substance and may not have raised a flag. When was the last time you saw the plants? A few months before that, maybe. I remember the flowers blooming. So yes, it's possible that their disappearance had nothing to do with the king's death. It was around the palace that night. The queen's mother, obviously, Grand Wiseman Ignatius Titus and his men, and your uncle, was meeting with Lucitia Azaro prior to his council appointment. So quite the whist, not including me, of course. Could someone have slipped it in his supper? Pebble grimaced. I was tasting all of His Majesty's food at the time, so whoever it was would have had it to be very creative. Alright, let's say father was indeed poisoned. What would be the motivation? We both know His Majesty had a long list of enemies, but the goal could simply have been to put you on the throne. Or I'm next. No matter what, I would urge caution. There were so few people he trusted in the end. If my suspicions are correct, it means one of them took advantage of that trust, and all of those people are still in your inner circle today. Why not? I see. I'm gonna have to look into this further. Why not? I'll have it as an option. Well, no. I see. I'm going to have to look into this further. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Of course, Your Majesty. Your well-being is of utmost importance to me. Yes, you tormented me in childhood, but as the royal butler, it's my job to have your back. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know any better. Past is past, Your Majesty. I'll take my leave now. I hope the water is still warm. He quietly exited the room, leaving me to finish my bath. After a thorough soak, I dressed and headed to my study. I still had some work to go over before the trip back. Interesting. Very interesting. Country's relationship changed. Yeah, we have friendly now. Friendly relations. I didn't notice that. Like, when we get through all these and actually get to countries again. Yeah, we have Democratic Republic of Vaxland neutral for relations. Unfriendly with Grand Duchy of Pales, unsurprising. King Rumburg, we are allied. Unfriendly with Neurosist Republic. Neutral with Agnolia. Neutral with Republic of Kairat. Neutral with Republic of Lesbia, which is now a member of ATO. That's a changed thing. Neutral with Republic of Morella. Friendly with Republic of Sordland. And friendly with Republic of Wellen. I'm definitely concerned about Wellen, though. Preparations underway for 24th Annual Wesek-Rizzian Friendship Day. The city of Zil is preparing for this year's Wesek-Rizzian Friendship Day ceremonies. Our motorcade is slated to arrive at Smolik Square at 13:45, or 1:45 in non-military time, I believe is what's going on there, after which there will be speeches as well as special surprise that President Smolik has yet to disclose. Later that afternoon, there will be the opportunity to discuss the impending transfer of the region, which better happen. Walker Plan drives economic growth in Central Makopa, augments ATO reach. The Walker Plan, spearheaded by Arcasian President Dwight Walker, has catalyzed economic growth in Central Makopa, benefiting nations like Agard, Montessus, and Sami more by promoting market reforms and privatizations. These countries have seen expansion in consumer options and increased efficiency. Even with the strong ideological and political impact of the Arcasian Dream, concerns over rising inequality and marginalization of smaller economies remain. The plans focus on privatization and deregulation, while stimulating competition also risks exacerbating high wealth disparities and undermining local industries. New parliamentary faction rumors in Rumburg. Within the stately halls of Rumburg's parliament, whispers of a burgeoning monarchist faction have surfaced, aimed to amplify its voice under Queen Beatrice's reign. This nascent faction's aspirations to influence policy represent the latest evolution in Rumburg's vibrant political scene. As it seeks Queen Beatrice's acknowledgement, its potential rise could steer Rumburg to adopt a more assertive foreign policy, particularly in safeguarding the interests of the Grace Alliance. Should the monarchist faction secure a foothold, the implications could extend beyond Rumburg's borders, signaling a possible recalibration of international postures amongst constitutional monarchies. Save the RUVD coalition pleads for support. A coalition of non-governmental organizations calling itself the Save the Whatever has called on the government of Rizia, Lesbia, Morella, and Vaxland to acknowledge the devastation wreaked on the Morellian River watershed by the International Trade Zone, the largest cooperative gold mining venture on the Mercopal continent. Their petition, which has been signed by over 100,000 Morellians, claims that improper waste management has led to the leaching of toxic chemicals into the river, and in virus they have gathered testimonies from local residents who speak of dwindling fish stocks, contaminated drinking water, and health complications. The coalition is demanding concentrated cleanup efforts from all four countries, as well as reparations for those affected. I'd say no, personally, but we'll see. Officials warn a potential housing crisis. Urban planning officials have warned us of a lack of affordable housing for residents of Portage Razan. They cite a lack of rent controls for landlords, as well as shortages of available apartments for unhoused and low-income citizens of major problems. Officials have also warned that if the situation continues to deteriorate, it might spread to other major cities. Revolutionary Malinist propaganda ban, an opportunity to ban propaganda from Malinist countries. Books, magazines, and pamphlets from Malinist countries such as United Cortana, Vaxland, and Galmlin have been reaching our shores. These seamlessly incest reading materials have the potential to lead to the spread of socialists through the populace. Yeah, here's the thing about that. Banning something can sometimes cause it, because this is just starting, and people aren't really thinking about it very much at all. Like early in the game, we even talked about how their spread has been lower in our country than most others. And if we ban it, people might be like, "Ooh, what's this new thing they've banned? I want to check it out." And that actually does that. I mean, think about our it actually in our very country that's happening. Think about our law against drugs in Rizia. in Rizia, we've banned drugs, and yet a huge amount of people are doing drugs. Anyways, so, I mean, and honestly, I feel like if we be hush-hush about it, and we don't really make it seem like a big deal, it might not become a big deal. So, this could end up being, I feel like every action I take, every single action I've taken in this game, I've said before I did it, in my head or out loud, I might regret this, and I feel like I probably will, but I'm gonna do this. And I've said that in my brain or out loud every time, but I'm gonna ignore it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh, it's going on the Republic of Lesbia. PM Alvarez warns not to underestimate Malvianism. Lesbia Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez has issued a strong warning following increasing Malvianist activity in the region. While not naming Rizia by name, the PM said that certain countries are blind to the danger of Malvianist and propaganda. Dangerous ideas that these should not be allowed to spread. I literally just said, try to make it not sound like a big deal. Shut up, Lesbia, please. Shut up, okay? Shut up. Be quiet. Shut up. I'm also surprised that we didn't randomly get some new royal decrees. I know we, after doing some of those things recently. But I think this is a good time to go ahead and end this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.